Welcome, everybody. My name is Eddie Rich. I'm the CEO of the International Hydropower Association, and happy Global Hydropower Day, everyone. This is a momentous and important day for us all to be proud of the sector, to lift our voices collectively, to make sure that we're speaking with one common voice, and to really focus on what there is in the sector that we want to be proud of and let the world know. And this session is going to focus particularly on that roadmap for a better sustainable hydropower in South America. So thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much for joining Global Hydropower Day and being part of the collection of voices on that. With that, we're going to start with a little video to say hello.
Happy Global Hydropower Day.
全球水电日快乐
Selamat Hari Hydropower Sedunia.
En fantastisk verdens vannkraftdag til alle.
Feliz Dia Mundial da Hidroeletricidade.
नमस्ते विश्व जलविद्युत दिवस 2081 साल को सबैमा हार्दिक मंगलमय शुभकामना।
आने वाले 11 अक्टूबर को ग्लोबल हाइड्रो पावर डे की सबको बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं। हाइड्रो पावर हमारी जिंदगी है, लेट्स सेलिब्रेट इट।
Поздравляю с Днем гидроэнергетики.
शुभ विश्व जलविद्युत दिवस।
Joyeux Journée mondiale de l'hydroélectricité.
روزی بین المللی گیدروانرژیتیکا مبارک باشد.
Feliz Día Mundial de la Hidroelectricidad.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. A lot of messages from around the world, and that's what it means today. It is the world speaking collectively on our very own sector. Let me start off with the usual housekeeping. We're in actually a Zoom meeting, so it's slightly different from some webinars. It gives us more flexibility to interact. So if you do have questions, please do drop them in the chat box. We'll try to pick them up at the end and answer as many as we can during the webinar. If you particularly want to ask your question in person, then please let us know in that message, and we'll try to come to you. We'll also be dropping in publications and any useful links. So do keep an eye out on the chat. And also, this is your moment. The whole idea of a International Global Hydropower Day is that we share messages. So if you have messages to send, if you have announcements, if you have activities, if you have videos, if you have any other kind of story that you want to put up, please do put them on social media with the hashtag Global Hydropower Day. I also encourage you all to go to the IHA website and look at some of the stories that we're putting up from around the world. We have videos like the one you've just seen and others which go into more detail about particular aspects of hydropower and about the heroes of hydropower yourselves around the world. So with that, let me just talk through the agenda. So we are in a moment going to start off by hearing a little bit about the state of play for hydropower in South America and what is in the pipeline and what is the potential for the region. Then we will turn to the Hydropower Sustainability Alliance. Mariana Empis will be talking about the Hydropower Sustainability Standard and encouraging the use of that across the region. And then we will look at a case study of one of the largest hydropower plants in the whole region, which has actually met and indeed exceeded that hydropower sustainability standard. So a very powerful story from Brazil, Jirau hydropower plant, and you might have seen that they were also featured in the video we have just shown. If we are all well disciplined, then we will have chance for 15 minutes of questions and answers and interaction at the end. And then if you'll allow me a few closing remarks to send us all on a productive day, that would be great. So with that, let me start by turning to my colleague, Head of Policy here at the IHA, Dr. Gordon Edge, to tell us a little bit about what the World Hydropower Outlook has to say about South America.
Thank you very much, Eddie. And thank you all for attending on this great event for Global Hydropower Day. What I'd like to do is talk to you a bit about what we say about hydropower in our Outlook, which is both at the global level and also delving a little into what we know about the situation in South America. Next slide, please. So just a step back, what is our Outlook? It's our flagship publication for the year. It's a comprehensive assessment of the state of play of hydropower globally, and also a look ahead. What can we know about what is in development, and what therefore we can have confidence in to say how it's going to develop. We think it's a useful tool for persuading policymakers to take us seriously, and also to do the things we need in order to reach net zero and get the hydropower contribution that we need. Next slide, please. What are the headlines that we could say about global hydropower? We say in order to meet that global net zero objective, we need to double the amount of hydropower that's installed on the planet. To do that, up to 2030, we need to kind of just up the pace a bit from where we've been, at 25 gigawatts a year. But if we're really serious, we need to double that going out to 2050. However, we're not on that pace at all. Last year, we only installed just shy of 14 gigawatts, of which about half was pump storage. And that's well short of what we need to be doing. Last year, we think was a bit of a blip, but still it's relatively concerning. There is the powerhouse of the global sector is East Asia. China has been the place where capacity has been added the largest amount for some time now, and 2023 was no exception. But also, whilst we need to double the build, logically that requires us to double the amount of investment from $65 billion a year out to $135 billion a year. It's a big number, and we may need there'll be plenty of things we need to do in order to do that. Next slide, please. There are two real challenges that I can see coming forward in the immediate and the long-term future. This graphic here shows the makeup of the capacity that we would expect if we're going to meet the UAE consensus that was agreed at COP28 to triple up the renewable capacity. As you can see, those slices in the right-hand graph for wind and solar grow absolutely massively. And whilst the proportion that is hydro goes down, in absolute terms, it does go up by about 200 gigawatts. And therefore, that's what we need to be delivering this decade in order to contribute to that objective. If you note at the bottom of the graphic, not only does renewable power increase from 40% of the installed capacity in the world to 77%, 62% is that variable wind and solar. And that points to the first challenge that I'm really talking about. The amount of variable renewables that we have to put into the mix to mean that we'll need a lot of work to manage the inputs that comes in. And hydro is a very good complement to that. Next slide, please. The other challenge is really that build rate. You can see on the left where we've been over the last 20 years. And there's a big peak, which was to do with China. And whilst that's come down a bit, we are running, roughly speaking, at about 20 gigawatts a year from the last 5 or 6 years. And that blip you can see for 2023. We think there is enough in the pipeline, some big projects coming through, that this year will be much better. and will revert back to the trend, but it is still the case that it's a really low number. But really, 25 gigawatts a year looks doable given where we are now. It's a bit of a push. But bear in mind, after 2030, we need to get to 50 gigawatts. That is more than we have put in any year that is in living memory. Plus, we need to do that every year for 20 years from 2030 to 2050. So that's a big deal. And not only is it a big deal in terms of the pipeline, the development of projects, it's also going to be a big deal in terms of the supply chain. Are we going to have enough factories building turbines? Are we going to have enough constructors with the right experience who are able to put in this capacity? So for me, those are the two big challenges that we need to worry about: managing the variability of wind and solar and being able to build out at the rate and scale required. Next slide, please. So now let's have a little look at South America and the situation we have right now. The good news is that the 728 terawatt hours that hydropower produced last year in South America produced 45% of the total in the continent. And this is the largest proportion in any of our regions across the world. It's really, it's a poster child in that sense for hydropower. However, it's not growing at a fast pace. Only 1.2 gigawatts was installed out of the total of 181. It's a very small percentage increase. And therefore, if we're going to grow at the level we need to get to 2050, that's going to have to increase very significantly. A couple of the really key highlights we have include the fact that the Girard project achieved gold certification against the HSS, so we're going to hear a whole lot more about that. And we have some really big projects that are coming down the track in the pipeline. I've noted a few notable ones there, like the Mansouricia project in Peru at 7.55 gigawatts. It's a big deal. Next slide, please. This gives you an indication of where all of that capacity is. The undoubted heavyweight in the continent is, of course, Brazil, 110 gigawatts of capacity there. But we've seen some useful increases this year in Colombia and Chile. These are spread generally across smaller projects, but there are bigger ones, as I said, coming down the track, maybe it's a bit further out. Next slide, please. So I pulled out just a few highlights. I'm not going to go through all of these here. You can do so at your leisure when we share the slides going forward. But there are definitely signs of life in terms of projects in development. I'd note there were some innovations, such as in Colombia, we have the continent's largest floating solar project was installed last year. Only 1.5 megawatts, but it's a proof of concept. And in Chile, they're putting in, developing a pumped storage project, which is using it's a hybrid with solar, but also using seawater as the pumping fluid. It's interesting, incidentally, about that being a pumped storage project. In the numbers, you may have noted that the pumped storage capacity in South America is just shy of 1,000 megawatts. That's there's 180 gigawatts of pumped storage in the world. South America has a very low proportion of that. And that's to do with the fact that it has so much regular hydropower, which can play that complement to other sources. So the need is less, but it will grow as countries across the region install wind and solar. And if we put the next slide, that just has some more highlights. Again, lots of interesting things happening. Relatively low level in terms of deployment this year, but some things coming forward. Next slide, please. So yes, we have Hydropower Outlook. Follow the QR code link. You can see all the content we have. We have an analysis of the 100 top projects in the world and where they are in the pipeline. Talk about potential. We have some interesting issues around the gender report we produced and some other topics. Next slide. And then looking ahead, I just wanted to highlight that next year, one of our big topics will be pumped storage, which I emphasized in this talk. We are gearing up for a very large forum and conference in September 2025 in Paris. Follow the link to find out more. We'd like to see many of you there. It's going to be a really fantastic event. Okay, last slide. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gordon. Look, really very clear message there. As we look around the world and indeed specifically in the region, you've seen a bit of falling away in recent years, last decade or so of development, hydropower development. There is some green shoots there in what we assess to be the pipeline in Latin America. That's okay for now, but we need to see a big inflection point at 2030 if we're going to keep on track with 2050, and particularly in the region. And that means planning now. And I think it is important that we did just touch upon at the end there the pump storage point. As more wind and solar are coming onto the system, there is going to need to be each country planning for that increased capacity. What are they going to do with additional wind and solar when there's too much on the system? And storage is the answer. So we've got some big questions ahead. Look, if you have questions, please do drop them into the chat. If you want to say hello, drop it into the chat. If you want to wish everybody, as Sylvie Richard has from France, wishing everybody a happy Global Hydropower Day, please do go ahead. That's what the chat is for. We're getting to know each other here. Okay, thank you, Gordon. Let's move on to not just the matter of increasing hydropower, but making sure it's not just faster and more, but better. And this is where I'd like to bring in Mariana Epis from the Hydropower Sustainability Alliance to tell us about the standard, the Hydropower Sustainability Standard, and a big encouragement for everybody in the region to make use of it. Over to you, Mariana.
Thank you so much, Eddie. I hope everyone can see my screen. Thank you very much for having us on this webinar. Very happy to be here and to promote the Hydropower Sustainability Standard. Before we get into the standard, I'll just give you a quick overview of the Hydropower Sustainability Alliance, which governs the Hydropower Sustainability Standard. We are a nonprofit, multi-stakeholder group, which is made up of 4 main chambers, so governments, civil society, industry, and financial institutions. And this model is to make sure that the main stakeholder groups in the hydropower sector have their say in the future of sustainable hydropower. And our main mission is to promote demonstrable sustainability in the hydropower sector by certifying hydropower projects, but also by building knowledge and capacity all over the world to help developers get to a stage where their projects could get certified using the standard. Now, let's talk about the standard. The Hydropower Sustainability Standard is made up of performance requirements, so assesses projects on different performance requirements, and those are divided into 12 main topics, 12 ESG topics. As you can see on the right side, there's a sort of a blend between more social aspects like resettlement and cultural heritage, but also governance and procurement, and more of the environmental aspects like climate change, biodiversity, and invasive species. It's important to note that certification against the Hydropower Sustainability Standard provides a sort of snapshot of the performance of a project at the time of the assessment. So it's very specific in time. And the findings of these assessments can cover two different levels. There is the minimum requirements or good practice requirements. So that's when a project meets all the minimum requirements for each topic of the standard. And then the advanced requirements, which are best practice requirements. And that's when a project goes beyond the internationally recognized good practice, which, spoiler alert, Girao did. So the certification system, the hydropower sustainability standard, can be applicable to all sorts of projects as long as they have a hydroelectrical component to them. We are actually getting more and more interest from pump storage projects, which is great. We so far haven't certified a pump storage project, but we are currently assessing a few of them. So very, very happy to enter that world. And the standard has 3 different variations depending on the life cycle stage of a project. So the assessment report for a project that is in a preparation stage will look slightly different from a project that is fully operational. Something very important about the standard and the assessments is that they are conducted completely independently from the Hydropower Sustainability Alliance. So assessments are carried out by accredited assessors. So these are, the best, they're absolute pros, but they've also been trained in the standard. They've all received the same training on the Hydropower Sustainability Standard, so that we make sure that they bring their own expertise, but that they're also impartial and credible, and then also they remain consistent because they've all received the same sort of training and experience over time. Now let's talk about the process from assessment to certification. It's a bit more complicated than this, but we can basically group them into 4 main steps. The first step is the assessment. This is when the team of assessors will review a bunch of documentation provided by the project owner or developer. And then after that, the assessors will travel to the site and conduct interviews, a site visit. This is probably where they, will interview local populations, communities that live around, also staff that work in the project. And then after that, they'll go home and draft the report. And they do this, the size of the team will depend on the size and complexity of the project, but the team will usually get together and build that report. Then that assessment report is published for a period, a public consultation period. So for 60 days, the assessment report of a project will be on our website, also on the developer's website, and along with a place for people to leave their comments. And this is very, very important to us. We try to encourage and promote the public consultation period as much as possible because we really do want to hear from all stakeholders. Following that, the project will apply formally for a certification if the project is found to, if all the comments are addressed or changes have been made by the assessors. The project will apply for a certification, which is then sent over to our governance committee. So basically the heads of each chamber, so that the council can either vote to, yes, provide the certification, grant the certification, or not. That's basically the gist of it. Obviously, each step has, sub-steps in them, but there are 3 different levels of certification. You can see the labels on the right-hand side. The lowest, the one at the bottom is a classic certification. So this is when a project meets the minimum requirements of the standard in each topic. Then the silver certification is when a project meets over 30% of the advanced requirement in each of the topics of the standard. And then the gold certification is when a project meets over 60% in each of the topics, which Girao did. Now, just to give you a quick idea of where the standard exists and where it lives right now, we really try to embed the standard and promote the standard in sort of all sectors. We want to make sure that, you know, the onus isn't just on industry to do the work. We really need effort from decision makers, from financial institutions, those that have a lot of, you know, mostly the power, basically. And we also want help from civil society organizations. And I think one of the I guess the very interesting, more recent things that we've been dipping our toes into is using certifications against the standard for projects to sell or issue renewable energy certificates at a premium. So instead of selling 1 megawatt for $1, they can sell it for $3, essentially. And it's been very, very interesting to see the progress in that. We have a couple projects that are piloting this model. You can see here kind of where we work. As you can tell, it's definitely a global standard. We are all over the world, and in South America, we do a lot of capacity building work in Colombia and work with the government as well. We do have a project that is already certified. That's the Ituango project, and we have another one that's open for public consultation. It's the Chorreritas project. And then in Brazil, we obviously have Jirau, a certified project, and we are currently, there's another project, Mascarenhas, that is open for public consultation at this moment. And we are also doing some work in Uruguay and Argentina. So we have a pretty good footprint in South America, I would say. Now let's talk a little bit about Jirau. As I said multiple times, they were awarded a gold certification, very well deserved, during their operation stage. Here's an overview of the assessment and the people who did it, which I think we have Antonio and Vito on this call. I'm pretty sure I saw their names in the participant list. This is the team of the assessors that assessed Jirau. Two of these are lead assessors, so it was a very, very capable, great team. We have the dates here so that you can kind of tell we've started the process in January or late January, and it ended in early October. So they got certified in early October. That might seem like a long stretch of time, but it actually isn't. It's actually very impressive for a project that is the size of Jirau. That we were able to get the project certified in less than a year, and I think this is just a testament to how great the team at Jirau Energia was to work with. Very much on top of everything, very ambitious. So yeah, it was really a pleasure to be able to work with them. If you're interested in reading the assessment report for the Jirau Hydropower project, you can scan the QR code here, or you can just head over to our website. I'll have the links at the end of the presentation. Here we have a photo of Gilles Maranhão, who I know is also on this call, receiving the official certificate. This was at the Hydropower Congress last year, and it was very special to have the president of the Alliance deliver the certificate in person to Gilles. And Jirau is the first project in South America to get a gold level certification. Actually, it was the first project in South America to get certified at all. So big accomplishment. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the story, and I'll try to be brief with this. The story of Jirau and the standard or the sustainability tools. So over a decade ago, Jirau was assessed using one of our, like the predecessor tools of the standard. So the HSAP tool is the Hydropower Sustainability Assessment Protocol. As you can see, it has 24 topics instead of 12. When we created the standard, we kind of combined a few of the topics just to simplify it. But you can see here from their results that they had, for example, they had one significant gap here, if you can see my cursor, in the resettlement topic against the minimum requirements. And then if you look at the biodiversity and invasive species topic, they did not meet any of the advanced requirements. So the assessors will, on top of providing a report, they'll also provide sort of an action plan. and recommendations for closing those gaps over time. 10 years later, they got assessed, and you can see from the resettlement topic here, they got a 60% of the advanced requirements, which puts them in the gold category. And in the biodiversity and invasive species, where they hadn't met any of the advanced requirements, they got an 83%, which is a very, very high score. So this just goes to show how projects can take those assessments from tools like the standard or the HSAP, and over time close those gaps, kind of use it as, you know, a baseline of where they are in the present moment and how they can improve over time. And it's always very gratifying and very satisfying also to see projects sort of close these gaps over time. And GDAO is the first project to do this. We are now working with projects that were assessed long before my time at the Hydropower Sustainability Alliance. And they're now being assessed against the standard, and we're seeing similar trends. So it's very, very gratifying to see. So congratulations to GDAO for achieving this. So that is all for me. Here are some links how you can get in touch with us, and also our website. We encourage people to join the council. It's free. By joining the council, you will be able to kind of have your say in how the standard evolves, and also choose which projects get certified. And it's a very, if you're joining the industry chamber, I'm assuming most people here would join the industry chamber. I will say it's a great chamber. It's IHA does a very, very good job there, also very active in that chamber. So we truly appreciate it. So thank you so much, and looking forward to people's questions.
Thanks so much, Mariana. That's a really clear overview of the standard. Indeed, I echo your encouragement to anybody who wants to join the industry chamber that we act as the secretariat of here in IHA. I want to say hello to Antonio and Vito, who are part of the assessment team that did the overview of the assessment of GIRAO. We're going to hear in a moment a little bit more about what GIRAO has done, but I love that story of improvement that you told there, Mariana. You know, did a assessment 10 years ago, and then look at the improvements and how they acted upon the recommendations and became a better, more sustainable project. And the Hydropower Sustainability Standard is, as you say, the internationally recognized standard. And we are working together to embed that, as Mariana said. So if you're looking for money, then all the international banks, all the financial institutions will only fund if the projects are certified, can demonstrate the alignment. We want to do it with our own membership. IHA expects all its members to certify any projects going forward. We want to do it through discussions with governments, and the HSA, the Hydropower Sustainability Alliance, has started that conversation with many governments, including Colombia, to look at the regulations about embedding the standard in it. So you can't get legal approval, you can't get financial approval, you can't join the membership club unless you do this. So going forward, the only acceptable hydropower is sustainable hydropower. So very, very powerful message coming across there. And I want to celebrate those companies, those projects that really have done the standard and certified against it in an impressive way. So let's turn next to GIRAO, the really an outstanding story within the region, GIRAO hydropower plant. Julio Freitas from GIRAO Energia, would you like to take the story and tell us what's happened? Tell us about GIRAO. Julio.
Perfect. Thank you, Eddie. Let me share my presentation.
I hope you see my screen. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me? Okay. Thank you for having me. I'm very glad to be here, Eddie, and have an opportunity to share with you all a little bit about amazing Brazilian hydropower called Jirau. I have many slides here. I'll try to speak quickly to share many information as possible. But I would to say that there is no comparison visiting Jirau in person. So if you all decide to visit Brazil one day, come to Jirau. You are invited. If you live in Brazil and have never been in Jirau before, come to Jirau. We'll be waiting for you all to offer an amazing journey and unforgettable experience. I decided to start talking about our mission and vision and values. I think that mission is not different from the other hydropower in the world, but our vision is to be the reference in sustainable energy generation in Amazon area. Being a strategy position and regional to the country, we must be an example, and our values is most important to us in order to reach the great vision: ethics, trust, safety and integrity, ownership and commitment. We wake up every day thinking about doing our best, but talking about improvements, the good thing that we are doing today maybe is not enough to tomorrow. So here you used to say that in race of excellence, there is no finish line. So we improve day by day our process, try and do the best, as Mariana told, we are very happy to achieve the gold standard. The next slide I will talk now about the characteristics of Jirau. Jirau is one of the largest hydroelectric plants in the Amazon area. It's the fourth largest hydropower plant in Brazil. We have a huge dam and 50 generation unit, making Jirau in the largest hydropower in the world in generation quantity, totaling 3.7 giga of installed capacity, 2.1 with physical guarantee, and we generate our annual production average is 1.8 in average. Only yeah, other characteristic that we are is run-of-river plant. It's mean there is no large reservoir. So in the right side of the screen, we can see the location of Jirau. Is located in the north region in the Amazon area, increasing our responsibility. We have a lot of challenge here, but we last years we can overcome this challenge, making difference in this region. In the right side also, we have our shareholders. Our shareholders include two important energy groups in Brazil, in the world, Engie and Eletrobras, and in the one of the biggest investment group from Japan, Mitsui. I won't talk about a little bit the Madeira River. Madeira River is in one of the largest rivers in the world and the largest tributary of the Amazon River, with length around more than 3,000 of kilometers. Its basin covers 1.4 million square kilometers. Considering that Jirau is a runoff river, the fluctuation of the Madeira River flow influence directly in our energy production. So our structure, now we can see the view of Jirau completely. We have two powerhouse right bank with 28 generation unit, and the powerhouse left bank with 22. We have a spillway with 18 gates and a special log spillway because Madeira River there is a characteristic that there are carry a lot of logs every day, thousand of logs, and important to say also that this 28 generation units in the right bank is made by Alstom and Voigt, great partners during the construction period. In the left bank is 222, Generate Unity is made by Dongfeng, a company from China. The first big project for this company in Brazil, and successful project, 22 very good machines. So here we have our partners bank. So they are with us since the beginning. They are public and private banks. BNDES is the leader. Just to say thanks for all the support. Great partnership. They are strong, committed to sustainable growth. Without this bank, I think that the dream of Giral could not possible. It's important. I'm talking about suppliers. I'm talking about the banks because the big project like Giral we have to work together. So here are some benefits from Giral. Giral supply energy to 40 million Brazilians, representing around 6% of total hydro generation from Brazil system. Since the start operating, we have paid around 160 million euros of financial compensation for EU's water resource. This compensation we pay every month, depends on the generation. And during the construction, we pay more than 250 million of dollars in social compensation and an environmental investment in sustainability, environmental compensation. Talking about the license in Brazil. The license progress in Brazil is too rigorous, with multiple stages ranging from the initial assessment to ongoing the operation. One of the most rigorous license processes in the world. Giral has a 35 years concession of contract. In this case, establish a long-term commitment to environmental preservation. And each 10 years, this license must be reviewed considering latest environment standards. For instance, we renewed the operation license in 19 for more 10 years, and we have 28 social environmental programs and to execute. And to 29, we have an expect to renew the license again, and the environmental regulator will define which programs can be concluded, and if the case, which new program can be defined. I think that everything depends on the monitoring of the current programs and executed during the license period. So here we have these 28 social environmental programs. And this kind of programs I think that are classic, and the characteristic of license of all projects in Brazil, including or excluding some program in some project, depend on the region of the project and are being deployed and its needs. So next slide, talking about indigenous people. Giral does not impact any indigenous lands. It's important to say. We can see in the map 4 indigenous lands, and the distance from Giral is more than 100 kilometers for all cases. So, but considering best practice in Brazil, Giral has some actions comply with the guideline established in the Indigenous Community Support Program, and we approve with the indigenous regulator here, and we have many actions to do during the programs, and during the construction we donate many equipments. We construct surveillance posts, we construct school, health centers. So not depend on the impact of indigenous people, but here we do many action to support the people. Now let's talk about the city called Novo Mutum. Novo Mutum, it was a city constructed by zero. So the city was created in order to comply the resettlement process, as well to offer a very good place to our employees to live. The people who were resettled were living in a small village in the past, impacted by the reservoir in this period, And we had started discussion about new place to move and live. So our concept in this epoch, in this period, was to be transparent about the situation and offer to all people an opportunity to participate and define what the best place to live. And all people could contribute in this discussion as a participatory process. So the process was transparent, and resettled people could decide the size of the house, how many rooms, backyard, and they first they can choose the house before others, like employees of the company. Everyone lives in the city. There is no difference between the employee's house or the house of the community. There is no different place. All kids can study in the same school. I live there, and my neighbor is from the old village. These are this kind of actions. I think that avoid. I'm sure avoid litigation. There is no litigation about the resettlement process, but for me, especially, avoid any kind of social inequality. It's important to say. People live in Giral without social inequality. We take care each other and not depend on the origin. So I think that next pictures, I think the pictures speak more than words. After of the period of resettlement and before, we can see, for example, streets without paving, without basic sanitation, without potable water, and now we have a full structure in the new city. For example, we compare the halls, it is very different, and we compare, for example, the school, amazing when we can see the school under in period very dry, without paving, and now a beautiful school, better than many cities, many big cities. And now in Novo Mutum, for example, we have a club of sports, a center of technology. This center of technology in next January 25 will be a technical school, and we will training teenagers, son of us resettled people, to be one day an engineer. We are in the second generation in Novo Mutum, and now I have the pleasure to say that there are a lot of adults from this period working Giral, working together, and open up the horizons and changing their lives. So one other thing that I want to divide with us, with all, I think that now Novo Mutum have fiber optics throughout the city, offering free internet in many places. I think that digital inclusion is social inclusion. So in promoting knowledge for all people. One day I heard a writer say that knowledge sets people free. I completely agree, and I think that we have to let's open up horizons through education. In Novo Mutum, we have internet free, high velocity, high speed to everyone. So these both institutes we are created many years ago by Geral in order to improve the formation of people, strengthening of the third sector, agriculture, development of producers, farmers, any kind of to ensure job opportunities. It was successful. This institute still exists and with good results. And talking about the carbon credits, Geral has a huge contribution in this case also. Geral is the largest, one of the largest renewable generation project registered in clean development mechanism. We have a capacity to reduction around 6 million tons, and last year we had an opportunity to reduce carbon emissions from many events, like for example, Olympic Games, event of sport, event of art and culture, a lot of proud to contribute to reduction of impact by gas emissions. And next slide, I'll share happily, quickly some result about fauna conservation, restore of protected areas, and archaeological matters and faunas. During the deployment phase, we discovered 555 of species of fauna, contributing with the science. We have a permanent preservation area. We protect more than 18,000 hectares. And talking about archaeology, we discovered more than 100,000 pieces of ceramics and identified more than 45 archaeological sites. And we construct with the Federal University archaeological technical reserve to collect and to guard this material. Some piece of ceramic here has more than 2,000 years. So here some certificates. IBAMA awarded us. IBAMA is our environment regulator. IBAMA awarded us in 3 programs with the best practices in reference to the other hydropowers in Brazil: environmental education program, degraded area recovery program, and hydrobiogeochemical monitoring program. Now, last year we was certificated by ISO 45001 in health and safety, because for us there is no good result without health and safety, a high culture in health and safety. And we work every day because we have a lot of employees in Geral, more than 1,000 employees, and we take care of each other. Because the main thing to us is the employees to return to their homes and safe. In the last award from the Global Health Organization, talking about malaria, is kind of yellow fever. We mitigated the impact in the North region. It's a huge disease, a serious disease in the North region. Now, today, this region is considered free of malaria. It's very important because many people was dying in the past because of malaria. So now to finish my speak, our international recognition is the gold standard certification. A historic milestone was achieved, becoming first hydropower in Latin America. Geral has demonstrated a very robust performance in terms of sustainability, grade 4 and 5 in almost all topics analyzed. Comparing, for example, 10 years ago, during the construction phase, we improving a lot our practice. I'm very happy for that, grateful and confident that we are doing the right thing. But we know that we have to keep improving in order to reach that level. So to finish my speech, the main message I would like to say to everyone, Geral is proof that it's possible to develop a profitable investment in the Amazon area with a huge social and environmental responsibilities, taking care of people, environment, and contributing to the entire society. Thank you very much.
Julia, thank you. What a fantastic story you tell. A really, really important reminder of what we're actually celebrating here today. This is a project that has, it's a huge project, but in terms of impact, is providing electricity to over 40 million Brazilians, and it is powering Brazil's industrial development. It's incredibly important what it is providing, and then all the actions that you have taken in a complex environment. You know, we are talking about Amazonia, we are talking about a huge plant, and you've navigated all of those. Look, we've got about 4 minutes left. I hope we have time for a couple of questions. If you've got any, please do keep them coming in. I've got one here, which is for Mariana, which is around what's the pipeline for certifications looking like in Brazil? We talked about Geral. You mentioned about Mascarenhas, but there are about 200 hydropower projects across Brazil. So Nathan wants to know what else is in the pipeline.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And when we compare the installed capacity in Brazil and what we've achieved so far, it seems like a very daunting task to be able to conquer all hydropower projects in Brazil. But so far we have several active leads in Brazil. So companies and developers that have singled out hydropower projects that they would like to assess. Those assessments haven't started yet. There is quite a big pipeline of projects that are looking to be assessed. But that's also why we need actors like Jirau Energia and its shareholders to lead by example in Brazil and champion the standard on our behalf, so that we can go in and certify more projects. Also, it's important to remember that not all projects that are assessed are certified. So ideally they would be, but it's not always the case. So we do have projects that have been assessed, but have chosen not to publish their results because they didn't necessarily meet the requirements of the standard. And that information is sort of confidential. But yes, we definitely need more projects interested in the standard in Brazil. So any championing you can do would be great.
Exactly. Thank you, Mariana. The question goes back to you as an audience. What are you doing to promote the standard, making sure that we are collectively as an industry producing the highest quality of projects which are creating big socio and economic and environmental impact on the countries where we are active. Look, we've got another question in from German. How much in total, in percentage of total capex or operational expenditure of hydropower plants is in social management? And I'm sure that's the question is very much a case by case. But Julio, perhaps you can answer in terms of Jirau. What was the cost of this the social management?
So we invested in Jirau around to 20 billion of reais, maybe $4 billion. The OPEX today is around 200. Let's convert in dollar, around $50 million.
So the percentage, though, that went on social management, or that goes now on social management in terms of operations, but also in terms of the original capex. Do you have a percentage of the whole project?
Social management, when we compare, for example, including environment investment, around 12%.
Okay. Okay, that's
12%
very
of investment, exactly.
And now, as you're managing it, do you have a figure? Because that presumably has gone down as a percentage. I mean, gone down a lot as a overall cost, but as a percentage as well.
Exactly. Today, comparing, for example, our spend in social management, it's $10 million per year. And if we have a OPEX, for example, because the CAPEX it reduce a lot, as comparing with the OPEX, social management cost in percentage in turn of 5%.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Look, and of course, it will be very different for different projects. This is a project that's put a lot of thought and investment planning into this. You did briefly mention about the floating wood, the logs. Can you just explain, just as a reminder for Jean-Pierre, how's that managed?
So now today we have a lot of wood, there are a lot of wood in the Madeira River. We have a structure to carry the logs to the log spillway, and for example, per day, we could measure, for example, more than 10,000 of timbers and logs carrying upstream, and then we invest last 2 years to a new structure to carry the flutes, the woods to the spillway. We can take out the timbers and wood from the river because we have to respect the environmental laws. So, but we carry the woods to spillway and transport to downstream.
Brilliant. Thank you. This is fascinating. We've run over time. If I can beg you for just keep on for another couple of minutes so we can conclude with some takeaway messages. Look, the big story here, you've heard it. Please do consider how to get your project certified, particularly new projects. Please do join the Hydropower Sustainability Standard. Get in touch with us if you want to join the industry chamber. That's at membership@hydropower.org. If you want to know more about the standard, you saw the QR code, and we'll be sending around details on that later. Gordon mentioned the big event that we have coming up a year from now in September 2025 in Paris, the International Forum on Pumped Storage. This is going to become an increasingly important topic. We're using COP29 to gather together about 20 or 30 governments and countries around the world, and I hope we'll include Chile, Colombia, and Brazil, at least within the region, as governments, as a leadership group on pumped storage, really showing the way about the role that can play in the energy transition. So please, if you do participate in that, please do get involved in that. You see the QR code there. You can also write to us for updates. I want to just thank you all for being part of the Global Hydropower Day, of being part of this webinar. Please spend the day sharing your stories, sharing your activities, sharing your announcements, going onto the website, the IHA website, looking at some of the heroes that are like what we've heard with João from all around the world, to see and be inspired. This is an excellent platform for sharing and being proud of the sector. We are doing a lot for the climate transition and for industrial growth going forward. On that note, I want to thank you all. Have an excellent day. Happy Hydropower Day.